Unmatched is famous for having an extensive roster of playable characters, but with so many matchups available, it is extremely difficult to play them all. In this series, we will be analyzing a variety of matchups in detail and hopefully discover some hidden gems. Join me as we explore the latest matchup of the month. If you're a fan of the channel, consider supporting me on Patreon. For as little as $1 per month, you can help me continue to bring you premier Unmatched content. Unlock exclusive rewards by becoming a patron today.
What's up guys, Zero Skater here, and we're back for another matchup of the month, this time featuring Robin Hood versus Invisible Man. Now this is a really special matchup for me personally because it won me my first championship. So way back in the Summer of Legends 2021 tournament, I made it to the grand finals, took it to a game 5, and it all came down to this. And if you haven't watched that match before, I would highly recommend you do so over on the Unmatched Tournament YouTube channel. It was a great match overall, and spoiler alert, I managed to pull out the win with Invisible Man. So we'll see if history can repeat itself today, but I'm super excited to be testing this out. And if you missed the last episode, I would recommend you check that one out as well. That was Medusa versus Electra. So battle of the top tiers, and it was actually a very, very interesting one. So yeah, go check that one out if you haven't already, and we will get into this one coming up. But as always, guys, be sure to attack the like button if you enjoy the video, and subscribe for more Unmatched content. And with that said, let's get on over and check out Robin Hood versus Invisible Man. Alright, so here we are on Vorpal board as always to talk about our first fighter being Robin Hood. So Robin Hood is a ranged hero with 13 health. He's moved 2, and he has 4 melee sidekicks being the Outlaws. And the Outlaws are 1 health token sidekicks. And 4 of them is a lot, right? So that's pretty good. Back in the day, this was the only fighter who had 4 sidekicks, and that was a lot. And his ability reads, after you attack, you may move your attacking fighter up to 2 spaces. So that's a really, really powerful ability because it lets you go in and make an attack and then hop back out of danger. Even if it's against a ranged fighter, oftentimes you could hop out of that ranged fighter's zone to avoid a double counterattack. And of course, if it's a melee fighter, you just get to hop back and they have to then approach you before they can attack. And this applies to Robin Hood and the Outlaws. So it's a really, really powerful ability. It's great for pushing the aggressive tempo and still keeping safe. And he's only moved 2, but he has a lot of high boost values, as we'll see, so he's pretty mobile as well. Robin Hood is all about being an aggressive fighter, pushing that tempo game, and trying to just aggress his opponent to death, essentially. So let's talk about the cards real quick here. A Hunter's Eye is just a flat 5 value attack. It's got a 4 boost value though, which is the only 4 boost in the deck. So that is an important thing to note in certain matchups such as this one, on certain maps especially. And there's 3 copies, so that's some big damage output. Then you go on to Piercing Shot. It's a 2 value attack. After combat, draw 2 cards. It's non-conditional, so if not canceled, you're always going to draw the 2, which is really good, reliable card draw. It also has a 3 boost value, so that is helpful as well, and there's 2 copies of this one. Then you have Disarming Shot. Now this is a combination of damage and card draw, because at a 4 value attack, it's pretty strong. It's also got a 3 boost value yet again. And after combat, draw a number of cards equal to the amount of damage dealt to the opposing fighter. So sometimes this can backfire if the opponent ends up taking this attack and you draw 4 cards, and in the end game that could just kill you outright. So it's pretty funny when that happens, but most often I think you're looking at drawing 1 to 2 cards from this, or none at all. And if you draw none at all, I mean, fine, you knocked out a big defense, that means. And if you draw 1 to 2, that means you got some damage, you got some card draw, but not an overwhelming amount of card draw, and you should probably be pretty happy about that. So I think on average this card is quite good. Next card's going to be Ambush. This is a menace of a card, as we all know. It's a 2 value attack. During combat, your opponent discards a random card, and you add its boost value to this card's value. So if you hit a big boost value, this can turn into some great damage. And also a random discard is very threatening because it could tear apart your opponent's whole strategy, and in a matchup like this it's especially impactful. So definitely got to watch out for this one, and again it's a 3 boost value, so a lot of high boost values in this deck. Next card is Defenders of Sherwood, 3 value blue. After combat, draw a card, and then you return an outlaw, a defeated outlaw, if there are any, to any space in Robin's zone. And this isn't any card, so even the outlaws can use this to defend, which is really, really good. And the outlaw being brought back is always going in Robin's zone. So you can do some cool, like, surprising little tricks with this card sometimes, like a surprise pin scenario, or just getting an outlaw back adjacent to the opponent, ready to double attack them with potentially highway robberies that we'll talk about in a minute. So this is a great card that brings your sidekick total effectively up to 6, which is quite a bit. Next, you have your standard copy of Feint. Here it's a set of 3, so you love to see that. It's always good, and we're going to see a trend here with all of Robin's defenses being quite low. So although Feint is great for canceling effects, of course, it can be kind of, bad with such a low health pool as Robin has with only 13. And if you hit a Feint into something like a log or a flat 5 or even a 4 value attack, I mean, it feels really bad. So Feint is a little iffy in this deck, but it can be pretty good on offense as well. And then we're going to see a set of 3 regroups. After combat, if you won, you draw 2, otherwise you're going to draw 1. It's a good bait attack for Robin Hood. It's a little risky for the Outlaws to throw out because they create a mind game for the opponent where the opponent might choose not to defend, and then in that case they're only going to take 1 and you're going to draw 2 cards, which could be a detriment to you with all his card draw and the threat of exhaustion. So you probably want to throw regroup with Robin Hood more often than not if you want the opponent to defend against it. Otherwise, if you're happy with the 2 card draw from an Outlaw, fine, throw it with the Outlaw and you probably have good success there. Next card is Snark. After combat, if your opponent is adjacent to your fighter, then you get to draw a card. So it's got that adjacency requirement, which usually doesn't really matter because if you're using this on defense, you're almost always adjacent to the opponent. And if you use it on offense, the Outlaws are melee anyways. And you can kind of create some mind games with Robin Hood sometimes by putting Robin Hood adjacent before the attack on purpose, just to make them think, oh, is this a Snark or is this a Wily fighting? And they might, react accordingly. So cool little mind games, but this is a fine card. It's not great, but it's fine. And then we see Wily Fighting. This is actually a quite good card. 3 value versatile. After combat, deal a damage to each opposing fighter adjacent to your fighter. And that's each opposing fighter. So it's great at having an AoE effect against a fighter with a lot of clones like Wukong, or token sidekicks I meant to say, but of course my mind went straight to the clones because that's the biggest use of this card, I think. But also like the hand from Elektra. This is great for clearing out those pesky token sidekicks. The Harpies as well, for that matter. So Wily Fighting, great card. Even if you use it on just a melee hero, I mean, you get 1 auto damage from this card if you use it on defense, so it's half the damage of a counterpunch, like from Sherlock, so you got to be pretty happy with that overall. And then the card that makes the Outlaw so threatening, of course, is Highway Robbery. It's a 2 value attack, immediately cancels all effects on your opponent's card and ignores its defense value. So it completely blanks your opponent's card. It's an immediate effect, so it'll go through everything except defensive immediatelys. And it'll deal 2 damage. So if the opponent defends against this, they're feeling really bad. Unless they feinted this, of course, because the feint will go first and full cancel out the Highway Robbery. But there's 4 copies of this in the deck, so it's always, usually a consideration. And sometimes the opponent might just want to take it because if you can't feint Highway Robbery, your next best option is oftentimes just to take the attack outright. So if they take it, though, and it ends up being an ambush or a Wily Fighting, then the opponent is taking some huge damage and much more than the measly 2 from Highway Robbery. So there's a lot of mind games there when Outlaws attack, and it really puts some pressure on your opponent. And then the last card, Steal from the Rich. It's the only scheme in the deck. It says draw a card, then choose an opponent. They may choose to discard a card, and if they don't discard, then you draw 1 more. So this card is just awful. I'm just going to say straight up. I mean, you don't get any movement or action gain with this card. It's only card draw, which Robin has plenty of. He does not need any more. If you activate this card, you're usually losing the game from exhaustion, or you're playing it in desperation, in which case you're already losing to even force you to consider playing this card. So oftentimes you just use it as the 3 boost value, which is totally fine. Honestly, you feel pretty good about moving 5 with a ranged fighter and letting all your Outlaws disperse and go wherever they please as well for 5 movement. So you often use it to boost, and the thing that makes this card so bad is really your opponent gets the choice, right? So you might want them to discard, but they'll just let you draw an extra card, and you're burning through your deck, and you get like nothing out of it. So it's a bait to play this card most often, almost like probably 95% of the time, maybe 99%. But yeah, it's a fine boost card. So there's Robin Hood for you. I mean, he's all about just keeping up that aggressive pressure. He just wants to maneuver and attack almost every turn that he can. And the opponent, in order to deal any real damage back at him, they're going to have to go in and attack him at some point. And once they do that, you're able to attack as your first action for your counterattack, hop back, attack them again, and then hop back again even further. So you can get 4 spaces away from the opponent without even maneuvering. You can just double attack back. And now they are in the same predicament where if they run away, fine, you chase after, you attack, and you hop back out of range. And if they approach you yet again, then with all your card draw, you probably have hand advantage, and you can just blast them for some more attacks and hop back yet again at the same time. And of course, you have the Outlaws for body blockers and for those threatening mind games whenever they attack due to the highway robberies. So, I mean, Robin's a pretty decent fighter. It's just he's been struggling lately with some of the newer Marvel fighters and whatnot that have come out. But outside of those, I mean, he's quite a threat, and he used to be a high-tier fighter. So he's definitely not a fighter to sleep on, and it'll be fun to see him go up against Invisible Man. So let's go move on into the next fighter, one of my favorites being Invisible Man. Alright, so here we are taking a look at Invisible Man, and if you're unfamiliar, he is a melee fighter, and he is solo, so no sidekicks, and he has a health of 15 and move of 2, so his ability says at the start of the game, after placing Invisible Man, you get to place 3 fog tokens in separate spaces in his zone. So the fog tokens, when he's on them, you add 1 to the value of all your defense cards, similar to Small Alice or Mr. Knight from Moon Knight. And then Invisible Man may move between 2 spaces with fog tokens as if they were adjacent. So they act as portals, essentially, or secret passageways, like in Baskerville Manor. So that's a super cool ability. I love it because you can play and you can camp on the fogs for extra defense, or you can move them around and utilize them for maneuverability. And it's just super fun, I think, and there's a lot of micro decisions in this deck involving the placement of the fog, and that's really what makes a good Invisible Man player, is knowing how to position your fogs and how to navigate his deck. It's quite tricky, but he can be pretty effective in a lot of matchups if you know what you're doing. And most of the time, he does need the help of fatigue to really close out a game, because as we'll get into, he has about 10 auto damage in the deck, and only a little bit more that he can get from attacks. Otherwise, he's going to need the help of fatigue to close it out and get that extra little bit of damage that you're lacking. In some matchups, as in this matchup, you can close it out just with your auto damage and attacks, so you do not need fatigue, and that really changes the dynamic of the game and how you're going to approach it, because you no longer need to maximize all of your values and try to force the opponent to boost and overdraw as much, and you want more of your card draw effects because you're just trying to get what you need to close it out rather than trying to penny pinch, and really drag out the game and win in exhaustion. So it's quite a different dynamic, as we'll see in this matchup. But looking at his cards real quick, we have a 5-value attack, surprise attack, immediately cancels all effects on your opponent's card. That's quite strong. And after combat, if Invisible Man's on a space with a fog, you move that fog to any other space on the whole board, which can actually come in handy sometimes, but oftentimes it's a detriment because you are likely attacking them and they get to move the fog away, which takes away your defense buff. But I misspoke. They don't get to move it. You get to move it, but you have to move it. It's mandatory. So even if you move it adjacent to you, you're still off the fog unless that was your first action, and then you get to maneuver. So the after combat's often a detriment, but this is a very strong attack, canceling your opponent's card, and a 5-value is great. Sadly, there's only 2 copies in the deck. Then we're going to see Emerge from Mist. If Invisible Man started this turn on a space with a fog, this is a 5 instead. So it's similar to Momentous Shift, but it has a different trigger condition, being starting the turn on a fog rather than starting in a different space as Momentous Shift does. But this is another good attack, and even if it's fainted, it automatically will deal 1 damage, and if it's not fainted, usually the highest defense value is a 4 on average, so it's likely to deal at least 1 in all situations. And that's really good against token sidekicks, of course, because you guarantee a kill on them no matter what defense they throw. So this is great for using against the Outlaws, as we'll see. Then we have Slip Away. I love this card so much. There's 3 copies. After combat, you move a fog to a space without a fighter and then place Invisible Man on that space. So it lets you reposition your fog where you would like it, and you get to teleport Invisible Man away to safety, oftentimes across to the other end of the map where they cannot reach you. So Slip Away is just a great card, and they want to feint this, but if they feint Slip Away and it ends up being a surprise attack, then they get a big punish in 3 damage there. So he's got some mind games with his attacks for sure. They're just not the highest value cards. Then we get into his defenses. He's got a lot of blues. So Into Thin Air is a 4 value blue, which is already great. After combat, move Invisible Man up to 1 space. So movement is always nice. 1 space is not that much, but it's enough to avoid a follow-up attack if you're against a melee fighter. And sometimes it can be enough against a ranged fighter as well, because 1 space, if you're on a fog, can teleport you to another fog, so that's quite good. And then your opponent gets to move a fog token up to 3 spaces. So this is the downside of this card, and oftentimes you're really going to have to make some tough choices because you might want to defend with a big value, but you might not want your opponent to be able to reposition the fog at that moment because you're trying to set up something like a Step Lightly, which we'll get into later. But yeah, it's got a downside, but otherwise this card is quite good. There's 2 copies of this, and then the next one, Coded Notes, also 2 copies, and after combat, draw 3 cards, then choose 2 from your hand and put them on top of your deck in any order. Now, I love this card most of the time. It's terrible when you're in the end game, and this is like the last or second to last or even third to last card in your deck, because that's essentially a dead card, because you're going to draw the 3, and then yeah, you're putting 2 back on top, but if you're hitting exhaustion, you're taking that damage before you reload the top 2 cards of the deck. So yeah, that just feels really bad. I wish it was like look at the top 3 and then take however many so that you could avoid actually drawing and taking the fatigue damage, but sadly that's not the case. But anyways, this is a great card for crafting your hand and seeing what you have coming up next so that you can plan out your next couple of turns accordingly. And that is just so valuable to Invisible Man. It cannot be understated how good this card is most of the time, as long as you're not taking the fatigue. And then we have Lurking, just a 2 value, but remember all of your defenses, if you're on fogs, are bumped up by 1. So all these values, you got to think of them a little bit differently. But Lurking, after combat, draw a card, and you get to choose an effect, which is always great whenever you get a choice. And so you get to either move Invisible Man to a space with a fog, so either teleport to a fog, or you get to move a fog up to 3 spaces, and that's some pretty good movement for the fogs if you need to reposition. You can set up some little tricks with this card when your opponent is not expecting it, because this is a defense, so you get to kind of manipulate the fogs and your positioning on your opponent's turn to let you lead into a good play on your coming turn. So I really like Lurking overall. And then you have Impossible to See, which is his essentially feint replacement, because it says immediately the value of your opponent's attack or defense is 0 and cannot be changed by card effects. So other effects still happen. So it doesn't cancel their effects, but it makes their value 0 and they cannot change it. So it's similar to an ignore value effect, but that was before they kind of started using that term more frequently. So this card is amazing. If you attack with it, it's guaranteed 2 damage unless they feint it, of course. But again, a lot of times they don't want to feint because of surprise attack. So this can be a nice offensive tool if you really need that little bit of extra damage. And it's a obviously great defensive tool because it's immediately. So it's always going to blank your opponent's card value. And they can't change it even if it's something like Momentous Shift. It won't bump back up because this says it cannot be changed. So this is a great tool and can be used against highway robberies because Impossible to See on defense will go first, making the highway robbery a 0. So then it doesn't matter that this card value is canceled or whatever because the highway robbery is a 0. So you won't take any damage. So that's a great tool in this matchup in particular. Then we see Confound. I like this one a lot because after combat, your opponent may choose to discard a card, and if they don't, you get to move each fog to any other space on the board. So oftentimes people think discarding is so detrimental to them that they don't want to do it. And so if they let you move all of your fogs, you get to reposition every fog anywhere on the whole board. That is so, so good for Invisible Man. And so you can really do some awesome plays with this. And if they don't want to let you move the fogs, they're going to have to discard a card. So if you're on a fog token already, you can look at this card as a hiss and slither like Medusa has. So quite a strong card with Confound. And then you have Dreaming of Revenge. I really wish this card didn't require Invisible Man to be on a fog, but it does. So if IM is on a fog, all opposing fighters also on fogs will take 1 auto damage. So this card is just really hard to actually set up and make any good use out of. Oftentimes it's just a blank 4 value defense when you're using it while you're on a fog, which is fine, right? That's good enough. But this card has some good potential in a matchup like this where the opponent might want to camp their token sidekicks on your fogs so that you don't have that mobility option. And so if they do that, they're going to have to be careful, because if they attack you while you're on a fog, they risk all their tokens getting popped with this, and then that opens up the fogs for you to warp across the map. And so they're going to have to get off the fogs before they attack, which then, of course, gives you the option of moving through to the other fogs and doing what you please. So the threat of this card is still decent. It's got some good uses to it, but oh well. Most of the time it's a blank 4. Next card, Covert Preparation. This is like the regroup of the deck, honestly, but it's a great regroup because it could be a 3-value defense, and after combat you draw a card, and then you move one of your fogs up to 2 spaces, then your opponent moves a different fog up to 2 spaces, and up to includes 0. So sometimes you'll defend with this while you're on a fog for a 3, you'll get a card draw, which is fine. You'll choose to move the fog you're on 0 spaces, and then the opponent cannot choose that same fog because it says they move a different fog up to 2. So that's pretty cool. You can also use this to pull a fog underneath you that wasn't already on defense, and then leading into your opponent's turn, you're already on a fog to trigger something like Emerge from Mist, bumping up to a 5, or something like the Step Lightly that we will get into in a second. So Covert, it's the regroup of the deck, but it's quite a good regroup in Invisible Man's. So next we have Vanish, is a 2-of scheme. It says recover 1 health, remove Invisible Man from the board. At the start of your next turn, place him in any space. Now this is his only 3 boost value, so that's an important thing to note. You're not really ever going to boost with this card. It'll be very rare, but if it gets hit by something like an ambush, that feels really bad, because not only do you lose one of your best cards, but it's also bumping the ambush up to a 5 when everything else would be lower. So this card's amazing though. It's essentially a double pass, because if you play this as your first action, it ends your turn. So if you just the opponent does whatever, goes to you, you play this first action, you heal 1 health, you get off the board, your turn is over. So you don't have to take that other action and maneuver or do anything. So it can be seen as a double pass and healing, which is very, very good, because obviously Invisible Man loves to take it to exhaustion. And in a matchup like Robin Hood, though, a lot of times you won't want to do this first action, because you'll want to maneuver first to get that card draw, just to dig a little bit deeper into your deck, and then play the Vanish, so that you got to find some more cards and keep up your hand count, because you're not trying to play towards exhaustion, you're just trying to find all the damage and all the things you need. So Vanish is a great utility card. It also lets you place him down in any space at the start of the next turn, so it leads into like a first action surprise attack or slip away, and then even if they feint the slip away, you're not feeling too bad because you can still maneuver away. So Vanish is just an amazing card, one of the best cards in the deck, easily. Then we see Reign of Terror. If Invisible Man's on a space with a fog, deal 2 damage to any 1 opposing fighter. So 2 free auto damage anywhere on the map feels great. You have to be on a fog to do this, but that's super easy to do. And it's a pass, because it just deals the 2 auto and that's it. So another amazing card right there. Oftentimes you want to maybe double maneuver on like your first turn, and then they double maneuver, and so you're both at 7, and then you can maneuver up to 8, and then play a Reign of Terror from across the board and deal the 2, and you're back down to 7, and they are still at 7, so they have to maneuver and boost to be able to get to you, and if they can't get to you, then they're double maneuvering and overdrawing 2 cards, which you feel great about. So Reign of Terror is really good for forcing the initiative and, hand management as well. Then we have Step Lightly, another pass, and it's deal 1 damage to 1 adjacent opposing fighter, or 1 adjacent fighter at all, I guess. But if Invisible Man's on a space with a fog, you deal 3 instead. So 3 auto damage is a massive chunk of their health. And then your opponent gets to move a fog token up to 2 spaces, which again is just a downside of the card. A lot of these cards have that downside where your opponent gets to manipulate the fogs, which makes me really sad. I wish they didn't have that option, but oh well, maybe it would be a little bit too good if only you got to control the fogs. But anyways, this card is amazing. You need to pull this off because if you do both of these for max damage, that's 6 auto damage from the 2-step lightlies, plus the 4 from the Reign of Terrors makes your 10 auto damage, and that is often crucial in pretty much every Invisible Man matchup. So what you want to do with this card is, like I said, you want to vanish and then come down adjacent to them, and then play our next card here, which is Rolling Fog, which lets you move a fog to another space and gain an action. So you pop down next to them, you play your Rolling Fog, bring the fog underneath you, you pop down your Step Lightly, you deal the 3 auto damage, the opponent gets to move the fog up to 2, but then you get to maneuver as your second action and get out of danger. So that's a great combo and a great way to set up Step Lightly. You can also use Slip Away to attack as your first action after a vanish, and maybe it's on a token sidekick and you get a free kill off of that, which is even bigger plus. But you attack, you move the fog adjacent to the opposing hero, and you're on the fog, so then you pop your Step Lightly for the 3 auto, and then you pulled it off there. So there's a lot of ways to pull this off, and it's incredibly strong. And speaking of Rolling Fog yet again, this can also be great just to reposition fogs like on both ends of the map so that you can stay out of harm's way as long as possible. And it does gain you the action, so you're able to move the fog and then maneuver through the fog and get far away. So it's almost like a mist form in a way, it's just a little bit different. But yeah, overall, Invisible Man, he's got a lot of cool, unique tools to his disposal, and you really just have to learn each individual matchup because he's best played as a counterpick fighter because he has a lot of weaknesses. The main one being lack of defensive cancels, I should say, because he does have surprise attack for offense, but lack of defensive cancels hurts a lot. Also, he doesn't have any sidekicks, so being a solo fighter can hurt, and his damage output is very low, barring his scheme auto damage and the few big attacks that he has. So he often struggles to close out a game, as I mentioned, without the help of fatigue. But he's very strong in the fatigue game, but he also does have a lot of card draw effects. So you have to really manage your cards well in order to succeed with Invisible Man, and you're going to have to know each individual matchup and the intricacies involved to win. And if you can do that, he's a blast to play. Obviously one of my favorites for a long time now. And I think a lot of people enjoy playing him, but oftentimes people hate playing against him. So I can't wait to pilot him today. But let's talk about a few key points and interactions in this matchup in particular before we get into the games. So the first thing I have to point out are the coin flip combat interactions. So Robin Hood with the Outlaws has Highway Robbery, which means you would not want to defend because you don't have any feints to cancel this card. But you do have Impossible to See. So you oftentimes, if you're Invisible Man, you want to hold Impossible to See to use on defense against an Outlaw attack. Because if it is the Highway Robbery, that is your only way to negate that damage, which is very important. And if Robin Hood is attacking, the biggest thing it can be is a Hunter's Eye. So you could use the Impossible to See against Robin Hood and guarantee not to take damage there, but that's an Impossible to See that you don't have for a later Outlaw attack, and then you're stuck making tough calls on whether to even try defending or not. And if you are on a fog token, you can play Into Thin Air into Robin Hood and full block all of his attacks no matter what because you have a 5-value defense. So if you use Into Thin Air against an Outlaw attack, of course, then it might be Highway Robbery and you get your big value canceled. So this might seem self-explanatory, but it's really crucial in the matchup. So I want to point out just how important it is to use Impossible to See to defend against Outlaws and your bigger values to defend against Robin Hood. So if you are defending against an Outlaw and it's not an Impossible to See, you want to be using something like a Lurking or a Covert Preparation, the 2-value ones that you don't feel so bad if they're canceled, because also they have card draw effects tacked on, and even though you're not playing towards exhaustion in this matchup normally, it can come into play in the late game sometimes, so getting your card draw canceled sometimes can be okay. And it's again a low value defense, so something you might not want to really play into Robin Hood anyways. So lurking and covert prep and impossible to seize, all the twos are good into outlaws. And then your bigger values like your into thin airs and your confounds and the dreaming of revenge, those are the good ones against Robin Hood, because if you're on a fog, they can oftentimes full block his attacks. So next up, I want to go over Robin Hood's defense options when Invisible Man actually goes to attack him, because it's not going to happen often, and because of that, Invisible Man is going to have to make it count. So most likely, if he attacks Robin Hood, he's going in with a surprise attack, because surprise is a 5 value, Robin's biggest defense value is a 3, and surprise will cancel any of those effects. So it's a great attack into Robin Hood. So if Robin Hood faints, that's horrible, right? Because he takes 3 damage, which puts him at 10 health, and then he is susceptible to dying to just straight auto damage from schemes the rest of the game, and Invisible Man doesn't need to make any more attacks onto Robin Hood. So you definitely don't want to faint against Invisible Man from Robin anyways. If you play a Defenders of Sherwood, you take 2 damage, and you also don't get your card draw, which you might need in this matchup, and you also don't get to respawn an outlaw. So that's a really big detriment, so you don't want to be using Defenders. And if it's Wily fighting, you'll take the same amount of damage, but you will miss out on auto damage, and every little point of damage against an Invisible Man, it makes a big difference. So you don't want to play Wily. So your best defense from Robin Hood into an Invisible Man attacking you is going to be Snark, because you don't really care so much about missing out on that card draw, and you still value blocked the same as you would have if it was a Wily or a Defenders of Sherwood. So I know feint could pay off if you feint like an Emerge from Mist or a Slip Away or an Impossible to See even, but the chances of those cards coming out against a seasoned Invisible Man player is just so unlikely that it's almost always the surprise attack going on to Robin Hood, so you're going to want to play the Snark if that is an option. Now the next thing I want to mention is the offensive feint from Robin Hood specifically, because if it's an outlaw using it and Invisible Man just takes it, then it's only 2 damage and you could have gotten a bigger punish, and if he is defending, like I said, it's probably a low value and your feint will just cancel out into that card. But Robin Hood attacking with a feint is quite good because you're likely to negate either draw power or movement effects, which lets you guarantee that you can make a second follow-up attack if you started in Invisible Man's zone. So if IM comes in for his surprise attack and he smacks you, and now he starts adjacent to you, you get the option of double counterattacking. So if you hit first with a feint, that means he's stuck in place no matter what, because none of his movement effects will trigger. Into thin air and lurking, they won't trigger, and also it prevents his card draw. So if he had a low amount of defenses when he went in for that attack, and he was relying on that card draw to draw him into more defense, then you negate the card draw as well. So the feint going into any of these 4 block cards is really good on offense for Robin Hood, so it's definitely something to look out for and to be wary of if you're Invisible Man and going in for an attack. And then, of course, the crucial ambush interaction. So Invisible Man needs to pull off his schemes most often in order to win this. And he can still win even if he loses one of the schemes to an ambush, but it makes it very much more difficult because then he needs to go in for more actual attacks with something like surprise attack or maybe even emerge from mist, or then start relying on some fatigue damage to help close it out. So obviously Robin Hood wants to hit, I think Vanish is the best hit or one of the best. It really depends on the circumstance, but getting a 3 boost value is probably converting to damage as well as taking away 2 passes and even healing, and a great setup tool for Invisible Man to be able to pop down adjacent to him and hit him with a surprise attack or a step lightly. So Vanish, but also the step lightly and the Reign of Terror, of course, feel really bad to lose. They're only 1 boost value at least, so ambush is probably not dealing any damage, but it's still ripping out a crucial piece of the puzzle for Invisible Man. So what Invisible Man wants to do is try to utilize his schemes as he gets them and not try to hold them for too long, because then you risk ambush hitting them out of hand. So if you're just kind of running away, defending, maneuvering to gain hand advantage and then defending against attacks, then it's not giving you an opportunity to pull off your schemes. And that's what Robin Hood wants to do, is he wants to push the aggression and that tempo and make Invisible Man keep running away and not give him the breathing room to really pull off his schemes safely. And if Robin Hood can do that, then he has an even better chance of hitting one of them with an ambush later in the game, because then they're sitting there clogging up Invisible Man's hand as he just constantly runs away trying to dig for defenses. So Invisible Man has to create the breathing room necessary to pull off these schemes as he gets them or shortly after, and that's going to give him the best chance of success. And so he's going to have to rely on his fog positioning and his good hand management and timing of all of his cards in order to do that well. And it's a quite tricky puzzle, but it's super fun to try and figure out. So ambush and what that hits, definitely going to make a huge difference in this matchup. So overall, it's a pretty balanced matchup. I think a less experienced Invisible Man player is going to struggle in the matchup, because I think the Robin Hood side is easier to play, for sure. Because Robin Hood is just trying to, again, push aggression. He probably wants to maneuver and attack every single turn. Even if he has to boost, he has plenty of kind of throwaway cards that he can boost with, like maybe regroups, or of course his scheme, or maybe if you don't need all the highway robberies, or he's got plenty of cards to boost with. So maneuver and attack constantly, and that's the game plan for Robin Hood. Just knock all of Invisible Man's defenses out and hope you have enough damage to close out the game. Whereas Invisible Man, it's a lot more nuanced. So you need to pay attention to how many defenses you have both in hand and remaining left in deck. You need to time your moves correctly when it comes to going in for attacks or the step lightly plays. You're going to have to manage your fog positioning so that you make it hard for Robin Hood to keep up that pressure. And you're going to have to deal with the outlaws, of course. So you have Emerge from Mist to guarantee a kill on an outlaw, which is great. And, sometimes you even have to use scheme damage to kill off outlaws. And you only really want to do that if you're, pushing towards the end game maybe, and you are going to die guaranteed to highway robberies, and you need to kill them off before Robin can utilize those highway robberies. And in that case, you got to hope that fatigue damage is going to help make up for the lost damage that you're utilizing on the outlaws by using your schemes. But sometimes that's the right play, and it's really tough, and you just got to learn to make those calls. And you really got to have a good grasp on fundamentals and initiative and fatigue play and all of that to succeed with Invisible Man. So he's not an easy character to play by any means, but I think with some practice and hopefully watching maybe this video as well as maybe some of my games with Invisible Man, hopefully that helps you out. But overall, I mean, it's a super fun matchup, and again, the coin flip interactions in combat, they're going to make a big difference. It's just how it is against Robin Hood, and especially when you don't have defensive cancels. So it's pretty tough sometimes, but Invisible Man also does have a lot of health to work with. He's got 17 effectively. He's got tons of passes. He's got easily enough damage to kill Robin Hood outright without fatigue, and he's got plenty of good defenses that he can block most of Robin's damage. And so, yeah, I mean, there's counterplay from both ends. So it's a really fun matchup, and I cannot wait to get into it. So I've rambled long enough. Hopefully this was informative, and you guys have a solid grasp on what we're going to be looking out for throughout these games. But I'll be playing against Chad as always, so let's not wait any longer. We'll get on over and check out and see what happens between Robin Hood versus Invisible Man.
All right, well, welcome everybody to Matchup of the Month for December, and this one is super special to me because this was actually the matchup that won me my first Unmatched Tournament Championship in the first Summer of Legends 2021. And so we have Robin Hood versus Invisible Man, and it's a super even and fun matchup, if I do say so myself. So joining me, as always, is Unmatchad, the newest Unmatched Tournament champion. So how you doing, Chad?
I'm doing well. Today is a lot better than previous times because I finally managed to get this. So
Look at
I'll
that.
probably post something about this not too long, but yeah, I'm doing well. I'm excited for this one. This one really is. It's a very. I when I was first learning Unmatched, like I was watching that tournament, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so I watched this game, and it was nuts, and just seeing your IM play and such. So I feel a little underqualified to play this matchup, but I'm excited to hopefully put at least my goal in any of these is just to have close, fun games, So as
Yeah.
long as neither of us get blown out of the water at all, I think I think
Right.
we'll have fun.
I think they've all pretty much been close so far. The Sattler Sherlock one a little less so, but I think all the others have been pretty close. So
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the Bullseye Rex ones were still really close.
pretty
Had
crazy.
some crazy interactions there.
For sure. But I will say that I think anybody who has a trophy like you do is definitely qualified. So no worries there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. So before we jump into it, what are your initial thoughts? I mean, you watched me and Wandering Caretaker play this matchup in the grand finals. So what are your initial thoughts on it?
Yeah, so my initial thoughts, it's especially after watching Monster Mash and seeing a lot of IM plays, you get to see that he can play in a couple of different ways, right? Like he can definitely play the fatigue game, which definitely hurts Robin Hood, but he can also just play the damage game if their health pool is low enough, right? So we
Yep.
kind of saw that with Dracula, especially if if IM is just attacking the sisters for most of the game, and Dracula is forced to play like a baptism as a pass without getting the two healing off, which we saw a number of times. That's kind of just feels really bad for Dracula, and
Definitely.
his maximum health pool is lower. So anyway, Robin's saying at 13 with no possible healing. IM's got 10 just scheme auto damage, and then Robin Hood has no blocks higher than a 3.
Right.
So, IM's 2 5s will then finish the game if he managed to get 2 direct attacks with his 5s on Robin, and then just, the damage there. And you can kind of treat Step Lightly as an attack, right? It's basically like you maneuver, you somehow get the fog there, then you play this, and then you lose your fog. It's pretty equivalent to an attack, I think,
Right.
that would say send your fog somewhere else or let your opponent move your fog. So basically, looking at kind of 4 attacks or when they leave you open, for attacks and such. So anyway, but Robin's got some stuff too, just constant aggression, right? That's what Robin's always got going for him. Being able to maneuver, boost, and attack a ton of turns in a row just can be unrelenting for IM. And if you get enough attacks in there that aren't drawing you too many cards, right, your snarks are great because if they're used from range, they don't draw you cards. But if you need the card draw, sometimes you can use that if needed. So there's just a lot of cool interactions here, and I think it'll come down to did Robin use too much card draw, and can IM exploit that if IM wasn't able to get in enough times? Or did IM get enough pressure cards to kill the Outlaws early to just kind of close off this game like normal?
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of a variety of factors and such.
Yeah, I mean, you said it perfectly right there. IM can play. He usually plays towards exhaustion in most matchups because he needs the help of the fatigue damage to close it out, since he has the 10 auto and not a whole lot of damage elsewhere. So he usually needs a little bit of help, but any fighter that has like 14 or less health, I would say, maybe even 15, he can close it out with just auto and attacks because the 5s are almost always 1 damage minimum, and he has 4 potential 5s, right? So you can look at 14 damage pretty reliably in pretty much any matchup. So it's especially easy with Robin capping out at 3 value defense. So you need the 2 attacks, you need the 10 auto, and that's it. But you can pivot to the exhaustion strategy if you see the game state is lending itself to that. So yeah, a really even matchup, very fun. It's a lot of hand management and deck management on both sides. And of course, IM doesn't have any cancels, so the Outlaws are very threatening with potential highway robberies, and those mind games are going to determine a lot about this matchup. And also the ambushes, because IM has no cancels, so if those hit a key card like a Vanish, not only is that going to damage IM by a lot because Vanish is his only 3 boost, but it also takes away 2 passes and a healing. So that's just massive. So the ambushes and what they hit are going to be crucial as well. Now, what map do you think you want to do here?
Well, I was thinking, I feel like we're trying to go for like pretty like even maps, right? So like I feel like like stuff with secret passageways is out. I think just because it kind of negates IM's extra movement because of just giving that to Robin too. So Soho we know is pretty good for Robin, so I could totally see an argument for doing that because he can maneuver attack every turn and not need to boost.
Right.
Which I think is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Just for resource management and such. But I also think I don't know if we necessarily want just wild like swings from like just large maps.
Probably
Hero
want to take out Sarpedon then too if you don't want a large map. That's the one I played in the grand finals, and that one's quite good for IM.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So I don't know. I could kind of go a number of different ways. I think. I don't know. Just kind of looking for what I feel like the the optimal like for just fun. Like trying to figure out which
Right.
of these maps would, because I feel like Hero Watt's probably out just because it's so bad for ranged, and I feel like Robin needs to use that.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, which ones have we done so far? We've done, we did one on Yukon. We did the first one on Sunnydale.
have we done Raptor Paddock? No, we haven't.
We have not done Rex Paddock.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Rex.
I'm thinking maybe the Bronze or Marmoreal would be good.
Oh, you want your little pockets, huh?
Little pockets?
Yeah.
I mean, pockets don't mean too much when Robin just gets his ability to hop back.
No, it's true.
But
yeah, I'm down for either of those. That sounds good.
they're both like medium-sized maps, and I don't think give any significant advantages to either of us. How about we go with Marmoreal?
Let's do
That's
it.
what I'm leaning towards.
Yep.
Cool.
And I think Marmoreal is prettier. So that's
for
my
sure.
vote.
I definitely agree with that. This is also really cool because these are kind of like both of our original mains, right? It was like
Yep.
I was IM and you were Robin when we kind of first started into like competitive unmatched, and then we both kind of shifted into like the second phase or second wave of mains being Yanenga and Bloody Mary for that
Yeah.
next meta, and now things just keep changing. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was I played so much Robin before what was it? Release Rumble. And
Yeah.
then Volume 2 changed everything. Robin did get better in after Volume 2. I really liked Robin into most of the matchups
Yep.
there. But then
Marvel, man.
Marvel.
Marvel. Marvel hurt.
Stupid Marvel and T-Rex. I mean,
Yeah.
T-Rex just eats them alive.
Yep.
Not sure if I would have preferred going second just for like fatigue purposes, and you getting all your fog all cramped up.
Yeah, it's really interesting though because IM in this matchup, he kind of wants to go first just so he can keep up the hand
The
count so
hands,
that he
yeah.
has enough defense because he can close out the game without fatigue. So it's interesting in some matchups how IM does like to go first, but others he likes to go second.
I find that with Little Red too, depending on the matchup, right? Like she generally she's okay going second just because the then forced aggression will have to come from your opponent into your wild symbol.
Yep.
But on some matchups, like or on Sarpedon with someone, she just wants to go first. So it's good.
For sure, it's interesting.
I think I'll keep.
I'll keep as well.
You ready?
All right, man. Yep. Good luck. Have fun.
Yeah, you too. I mean, just good luck.
No fun involved. This is all just serious business.
Absolutely not.
Serious business only.
Menouvoir, as the French say. It's always a tough call because don't start on a fog. So do I go big right at the beginning or not?
Right.
This is going to be positioning all on my part. I think it's going to be
Yeah, positioning is very, very important in this matchup for sure.
I'll have Robin attack you.
Robin attack. Let's see. Coded notes. Oh, man. That sucks. Nice feint. Oh, that hurts.
I know you, Jod.
That hurts. Yeah, I know, dude. We play too much, and then you just know everything I'm gonna do.
Yeah, I will stay there actually.
I'm going to maneuver. You position pretty well. You have almost every spot covered in a single maneuver. The only one I think is this purple here. So that's probably where I'm going, but then I'm not on a fog, which I don't like.
Yeah.
But it's not like you have a ton of damage output anyways.
Hey, please.
I'll do that, and then
My
I'll...
disarming shots are going to destroy you.
Okay, okay. Maneuver again, and I'll stay there. Go ahead.
I'll maneuver. And I will boost with one of the reasons I kept this hand.
You had a trash card to discard for a boost. Nice. You know, instead, you could have just, you know, played this card for some hand advantage.
Man, why?
You
Oh,
messed
you're
up.
gonna destroy me
You
this
messed up,
game.
dude.
I'm not even thinking about these things. Okay, and I will attack you with this.
I wouldn't be real surprised if this is some kind of card draw for you, because you're kind of low in the hand count. Let's do a lurking. Yep, so I take 2, you draw 2, I draw 1, and I get to move to a fog. Done?
Yep.
Alrighty, I will maneuver. Attack Robin. Nice. So there's 2, and you draw, and it's your turn.
Yep. Have Robin attack you.
I use a covert.
Ooh, good covert.
Oh yeah, look at that. Love to see it. Let's see, I draw my card first. And I get to move one of these fogs. Which one do I want to pull in? I'll pull this one here. And you can hop if you want. You have one more action.
Yeah, I'm not gonna hop, but I'll just attack you again with this.
I'll just play a 4. Yep, so I take 1.
Yep, you're up.
Okay, I will maneuver. 1, 2. Maneuver again. And you can go.
I'll maneuver. And I'll have Robin attack you with this card.
Pretty good time for a confound. Aw, man, you had it. That sucks.
I opened with 2 of them, so I kept both of them.
Nice. So if my confound went off here, I was going to keep my fog here and bring both the other ones right here, 1 and 2,
Yeah.
so I could get in there no matter what.
That was what I was thinking you might have done.
Would have been a cool play.
Yeah.
Did you draw off your... Was it a regroup?
I did not. Thank you.
Good there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What do I want to do? I will go ahead and maneuver. I'll attack the outlaw.
I'll take it.
Cool. Slip away.
Yep.
I kind of want to get one of these fogs way over to the corner. It's better fog placement, but I'm thinking about the coming turn. And it might be better if I force you to come in with Robin, because then that puts you in a position where you have to be open to a counterattack on my following turn. Which might be better than the fog coverage. I'll force Robin to come in.
Sounds good.
Your turn.
Yeah. All right. I'll maneuver. I'll have Robin attack.
I feel like this is a good time for one of your big cards. I'll throw one of these. Oh, come on. The third regroup. Well, that sucks. I don't want to move. You can move one of my fogs up to 3. All right, my turn.
Yep.
I'll do a maneuver. Go here. I'll maneuver again. And you can go.
I like that play. Maneuver. Have Robin attack you.
What's lurking? Yeah, that's what I thought it was. So, D6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh my gosh, that hurts. Oh, that hurts a lot. I was thinking about playing that.
Yeah. What boost is it though? It's a 2. Nice.
2, yeah, so I take 2 damage. Ouch. Let's see.
Would have loved to see a scheme, but that's probably the next best thing.
I'm gonna, well, I get to draw first. And then I will move the fog, and it's your turn. Well, you get to hop, I mean.
I'll go here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good. You're up.
You're done there?
Yep.
Alright. I will maneuver. And I will Reign of Terror you for 2. And you're up.
I'll maneuver. I'll attack you.
Do coded notes. Yep. There's finally one of them coming out, so I'll take 1. And then I draw 3. And put 2 cards back. Let's see. Alright, my turn?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do a maneuver. I'll attack Robin. So you take 2.
Yep.
And your turn.
Let's see. First action. I'll attack you. Good job.
Nice. You take 1. I'll move here. You can move a fog up to 3. You can hop if you want.
I'll attack.
This seems like a faint bait attack. I'm going to take it.
Why do we screwage so much together?
Flip it. Oh, come on. You had the last one. I told myself, what are the chances he's got the last one? Not very good.
I've been sitting on them as long as I could.
Oh, that's so annoying.
Yeah.
Okay. My turn?
Mm-hmm. John's going on an outlaw killing spree.
I'll maneuver. This map does make things difficult for me, though, with your zone coverage.
Yeah, that's what I'm realizing. I originally thought it was bad because of this little pocket here, but it's actually pretty good if I'm sitting where Robin is, because then he covers like the whole half
right.
of the map.
All you gotta do is have an outlaw here, and then you cover all the white, and
everything.
then you have everything. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the only thing I need to worry about. Yeah. Everything else is covered with this one spot.
That's rough.
That's why Robin's such a cool character, in my opinion, because of his movement. Like, you know, at least with this spot here, I'm not like forced to, you know, engage really.
Mm-hmm. I'll maneuver again, and you can go.
I'll attack you with Robin Hood.
So you have no more. You have no more 5s. I don't have to worry about.
Wait a second. Let me think about this. This seems like prime confound stuff. Prime confound shenanigans.
What gives that away? Man, I'd be feeling so much better about this if that was a feint. Oh, I'd have 3 more health.
Yeah.
You got to take risks a lot of times in this matchup, though.
At least, yeah, with I was burning through your defenses. You were really running out of those quickly, so.
Yep.
Just because I got all this stupid crap early, or the recruits.
Yeah, sure, it, like, draws you cards, a lot of these, but so what? Because then if you can just keep up pressure, it's worth it.
Exactly. So let's see. I just feel like it's foolish for me to approach now because I'm in a really good spot. I'll maneuver. And I'll attack you with this.
Let's throw covert.
Yep.
Okay, so no damage. I draw 1. We'll go 1, 2.
Yep. That's what I was thinking you were going to do.
Then you get to move another one up to 2.
We'll throw this one here.
Then you can draw your 2 and hop if you want.
I'm good there.
I'll maneuver. I'll vanish.
I'll maneuver. Maneuver again.
You good there?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll step lightly. You get to move a fog up to 2.
Go there.
Okay. And then I'll take a maneuver. Let's go 1, 2, and boost for 2. And it's your turn.
Sounds good. I like the play. I'll maneuver. I'll boost. Let's have Robin attack you.
This is such a close game, man. This is tough.
It really is.
Throw covert.
Yep, good cover.
Okay, so I take 2. You draw 2. I draw 1 first, and then I get to move a fog. This one over here. Then you can move a different one up to 2.
So with fog, I think I just care about your mobility. So we'll throw you there.
Mm-hmm.
Then I will hop here. Draw my 2 first.
Yep.
Yep. And I'll ditch one of these.
Yep. All right, my turn.
Yep.
Start with a rolling fog. Bring that there.
Okay.
So I gain an action. Still got 2. I'll do a maneuver. Go 1, 2.
Uh-huh.
I'll attack with this. So I take 1, and I will go...
You have no more movement effects on defense, right?
Dang it, you're right. So that means I die to the other Wily. Yeah, whatever, I'll go over here. Your turn.
Yeah, so I'll maneuver.
Maneuver,
boost
attack. Yep.
these, and attack.
Well, that sucks. Dang it, I forgot about that. Oh, that's so dumb.
You had it. Okay, I was wondering.
Yeah, I was thinking about throwing this. That was my first idea. I wish I would have just to see how the game would have played out. Because then I give up my kill because I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then in my deck I had 6, 7 from the Reign of Terror.
There it is.
So I had the 7, and I was like, my initial plan, that's why I defended with the covert, was to do this and then move in and hit with a surprise attack and eliminate this outlaw. And then the other outlaw would come and hit me. I'd play my impossible, and then I would survive a highway robbery because impossible goes first.
Uh-huh.
And then I would step lightly the other outlaw, and then you would have no more big attacks with Robin. And I'd be at 2 health, so I could survive a Wily fighting. And I still had the other Vanish to do a double pass and survive the last Wily fighting.
Yep.
And then I think I ran you out of cards, and I probably get my damage in fatigue because I still have the 2.
Yep.
I should have went with that route. That was literally my first thought, but then I changed my mind once I maneuvered up and I was looking at my options, and I'm like, maybe he'll think I'm throwing the surprise attack and he just won't defend, and I'll just get a slip away. And then I'll get a better positioning, and I was like, if he defends with Defenders of Sherwood, then it forces him to draw a card, and then I'll still just go to the white area where you still have to maneuver, and then you're down to 3 cards in deck, and I still had passes and healing and vanish for double pass. Oh, man.
Close game.
Yeah, super close. It doesn't look close because the ending health was 7-0, but that one was so close.
Nail biter, really.
Yeah.
And you took 5 undefended. For it to be like that, even after that, I mean...
Yeah, that was rough. I had the
But as you
impossible to
mentioned,
see.
You gotta do that because I attacked you literally every turn until I got you down low and I was at 3 cards.
Yeah.
The pressure is just crazy.
And that's what you got to do. You played it right. You need to just
the
pressure
offensive
the
feint
crap.
here was I don't think it wasn't expressed as much as how good that was for me.
So good.
Just to immediately have tempo control out of the gate for the first turn.
Yeah, and Coded Notes is one of the best cards to play early because you get to dig into your deck and you know what the next couple of turns are going to look like, and you can set it up to get Reign of Terror early, or like if you can push Robin down to where he has to be scared, then he doesn't just get to freely maneuver and attack you every turn. Because if I get you down to like, 7 health like I did here, and then I pop a Reign of Terror, well, now you literally risk dying to like a Step Lightly surprise attack play, which obviously I have to set it up with a Vanish leading up to it, but if I Vanish and then I make you group up, then you don't have the map coverage that you had the whole game if I go like way far away, and it buys me more time. And yeah, but taking 5 hurt.
Yeah. I think it definitely helped me that I got all my Robin ammo early game. Because you were just setting up so where my outlaws couldn't mess with you.
Yeah.
And I was fine leaving them out of reach, so that you couldn't also get like easy slipaways. Because I didn't see another feint for a while, so I didn't want you to just like get easy slipaways on them.
Yeah.
So I got all my Robin ammo early. I wasn't seeing any highway robberies until I was at like 13 cards left in my deck.
Wow.
So that was really good.
I was wondering why you weren't coming in with them and using those, but I guess that's why. It worked out fine, though. This map was just rough because I was sitting in the purple pocket, which was fine. The real issue was that you had a dude like over here, and if I maneuver up and attack him, then you have Robin sitting here ready to double attack me from range way over there. So
yeah, it was the craziest. This was the craziest thing too, and that turn that you were here, right? So you were, I think, here you were trying to decide if you like went up here, right, and tried to take this guy out.
Yeah, exactly that turn.
Defenders of Sherwood, right? If you don't throw your 5, I immediately grab someone, throw him there, and now you can get double attacked
with highway robberies.
So yeah, I wanted to highlight that to the stream because I think both you and I were thinking the same thing.
I was thinking that turn about doing that play and doing the Step Lightly.
The Step Lightly, okay.
Yeah, I was not going to attack into a Defenders of Sherwood there.
Unless it would have been with this, but
exactly.
as you mentioned, you were concerned about your win con. For that.
This is better against Robin because Step Lightly on Outlaws is totally fine in this matchup if you can get the rest of the damage in other ways like Fatigue or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because I got an early emerge for 2, I had an extra couple of cards, like an extra 2 cards that I could easily throw away on Outlaws, which is, this and this.
I like throwing Snark when you attack me. I think that's a really good, because if it is this, okay, that stinks that I take 2, but I draw cards, so it just helps me with the hand advantage of applying the pressure there, because that is right when I got my double 5s, right? I had the 5, and then you moved here, and I followed you, and then I hit you with the other 5.
I think so, yeah. That was the last one. Ugh.
Yeah, and then if you throw this, like, yes, I still take 2, but it stops the card draw,
which fine
on
with.
The other side, I'm totally fine with. So it's a really interesting, like, dynamic. And at the end of the day, those are probably the only 2 things you're really throwing at me. So, it's not like there's huge mind games of, oh, well, what if it's this? Or
right.
It's kind of...
Worst case is I'm throwing a slip away and you play Snark, you draw your card, and then I still get away. Like, that sucks for you.
Yeah.
But
yeah, exactly.
But it's probably the best option for sure, because you don't want to throw a feint into this. Feint is good into slip away and emerge, but it's bad into the surprise. And you don't want to get your Wily hit with surprise, because then you just lose auto damage.
The 3 damage is so... You need that
very... Yeah, very important. Yeah. As we saw, it just won you the game here.
Literally, all 3 of those were at critical times when I needed them. The other one, I had no other like good attacks. I was sitting on like defenders and something else. And so I threw this out, and that 1 damage was really good for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Really.
Yeah. All right, well, let's flip it around and do it again.
Let's run it back, yeah.
I love this matchup.
That's a fun one, man.
I'm going to mulligan.
Keep.
Too much red, which is good, but like you had last game, I need some throwaways to boost with. I don't want to be boosting with good stuff.
You prefer these mid-game, I think, while I've been sitting on like good schemes and stuff.
Yeah, got to give you some time to draw into your good stuff. Because the good stuff isn't easy to just pull the trigger on right away. It takes, the optimal timing and setup, so good luck, have fun.
Yeah, good luck, have fun. You can have fun this game.
Okay, good. Cause I'm not Invisible Man anymore.
No, I was just last time. I just wish you good luck.
Yeah, I know. I wish you all the luck because I want to see Invisible Man win, of course.
That's right. Oh, this is interesting. All right, we'll go there. Yeah, I started with 2 of my stupid cards last turn. Um, like the
The
3
schemes.
boost. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I'm good there.
Okay. I then will maneuver. Now the problem here is an outlaw can't get to you without ending on a fog, and you're also on a fog, which means I actually could get punished by dreaming of revenge, which is very rare. And I don't really want that to happen. So I think maybe I just take a double maneuver turn to set up positioning, which I don't love being Robin Hood, but I also force you to have the Reign of Terror, which you probably have because you kept, but I'll maneuver again. Robin's going to go on the fog. I have everywhere covered if you want to come in for an attack. So yeah, I'm good there. You're up.
Good placement.
Yeah, but you're just going to Reign of Terror me, and I'll feel really bad.
See, I don't have Reign of Terror.
You might draw into it. Sometimes
Sure.
lucky.
I'm trying to figure out, like, I feel like I'm okay double maneuvering. Like, that's okay. But then I would double discard.
And
So
that
it
kind of
might as
sucks.
well maneuver boost if I'm going to throw away something and then throw out an attack either way. If you defend the outlaw, then that's a defense Robin can't use, which I don't care about so much except for the fact that it's also an attack that Robin and the outlaws can't use, right? Because most of the time it's it is always a versatile, unless you just bet that I'm attacking with 5 and you throw out Defenders of Sherwood.
Mm-hmm.
It was a huge bet, but it paid off for Sojo versus Chocolate Rain in that Sherlock Robin Hood slaughter.
That was a fun one.
I think I'll boost with a covert.
Yep.
And I think we'll go this way.
Of course.
And I will attack that outlaw with this.
Let's see. So I have to consider it could be slip away. And if you slip away, do I have everything covered in a single maneuver? I think that answer is yes. So I don't really have to worry too much about that. I'll just take it. It's fine. Yep.
Alright, go.
Okay. So I'll take a maneuver. Alright, I'll have outlaw attack.
Alright, so it's not a regroup or a snark. So it's either an ambush, a wily, or a... Let's try this.
There it is again.
You dirty dog!
Alright, I can hop. So now I hop back. Wow, dude, it's just a repeat. Alright, go ahead.
I'll maneuver. I think I'm okay sitting there. Maneuvering again. Alright, you're up.
Well, I'll maneuver. See, also, you being the first starting player, this is a lot better area for you than this was for me.
100%.
Like, this feels so much different. It's crazy. Because I can't sit on the power spot. I'd have to, like, come over here, but then I'm missing out on pink and purple. It's, wow, it's a world of difference.
Yep. Well, explicitly for Robin, right? Like, Robin over here, as we mentioned, is just nuts because sitting on this spot and having one outlaw here, that's all I need to cover the whole board.
Yeah.
Now here, obviously you do have 4 highway robberies, but, you know, once those run out, you're kind of, you know.
Yeah, this is so weird. And we'll have outlaw attack.
I hate the outlaws, man.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take this.
Taking it?
Yep.
Oof.
Yeah, well done.
Man, we both got big takes that did not pay off.
It's still risky, right? I mean, obviously I could throw defenses, but if I do, it's just...
Feels so bad to just lose them for nothing.
Especially for you've only got so many, right?
Yeah, and even if you threw a defense, if it wasn't a movement defense there, then you still take 1, which is half of the highway robbery damage.
Exactly.
So, like, and you have only a couple of movement defenses. You're not going to throw a big 4, so your only other options, you have 2 lurkings.
Exactly.
which are the perfect cards, honestly, to throw against outlaws. But like, I don't know. It's just it sucks. It's a risk. You're up
So
though.
true. Okay, I'll maneuver. I'll attack you.
Ah, I wanted it to be a merge. That's okay.
Yeah.
So I took the 2. You canceled my draw at least, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, and it's my turn.
Yeah.
So I'll have Robin attack.
We'll try this. Ah,
Nice.
garbage.
Yeah, that's rough. So my thought was, if it's a big defense, anything but lurking, I can follow you and attack you again.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
I mean that's what I was thinking too. I just didn't know, right? Because you could have easily have thrown a. Yeah, that's true. And my thought process was you'd think that because I had this when the outlaw attacked, so my thought process was you'd assume that I'd throw that so that I didn't have it. But
Yeah.
I think the 5 was the right call there, and that's what I thought. I just felt like I needed to make a call.
Yeah, it was more so me trying to make an optimal play rather than actually trying to guess what you had. It was
It's a
just
good point.
checks and balances kind of thing. Like I said,
Is
if it
the
was
worst case scenario? Oh, sorry, you go.
yeah, I mean, if it was the lurking, which it was. Now I can't attack you again this turn because even with my hop, I can't follow. But if it was
You
anything
had
but
3.
lurking, then I can just follow you. So I was
Yeah.
okay with that. I'll maneuver. We're making this matchup look real bad for IM, and it's really not.
It's really not. Yeah, I mean,
It's really
I
not.
think. I mean, just 2 bad calls there for me, right? And it's
Yeah.
game on. And same with you. You took a 5, and it was. I mean, it was still close, but it was.
Yeah, taking the 5 and losing the impossible to an ambush, that hurt a lot. But sometimes it happens. All right, your turn.
Maneuver. Let's attack with this.
What are the chances, man? What are the chances? It's the second one. Okay. So I'll take 2, but I get my dude back. Well, I get to draw a card first. And I get my dude back, and
That would have been nuts if I canceled both of them. That would have been game changing.
yeah, because
Then
then
I kill the other outlaws.
kill them, and then it's rough for me.
Yeah.
Because having highway robberies at this point, when you're only at 8 health for guaranteed damage, is really, really important.
Yeah. But I was okay doing that here because you couldn't throw the outlaw next to me immediately, right?
Yep. I mean, I can get him up here in maneuver range, which is the best I'm going to do, so I'll put him there.
Yep.
And then it's my turn, huh?
Yep.
All right, you got a full hand, a 7. So, do I maneuver and attack, or do I just hit right here? I'll have Robin attack. Dang. Or is that good for me, maybe, because I don't draw any?
It's an interesting question.
Yeah, I think that's actually good for me.
I'll go there and you move a fog 3.
Yeah. So that lets me move this away from you and then follow.
Robin's ability is so good.
It's so good, especially in this matchup.
That's what got me hooked on Robin, just because I realized like on certain maps with ideal positioning it can just be so oppressive, as we saw in game 1.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
It's always having an active skirmish is nuts.
I'll attack.
Okay, this is your second attack?
Yeah. Okay, so yours goes first. I can discard, which I'll discard Steal from the Rich, of course.
Yeah, I knew you probably had one, but I felt
Yeah.
like it was the defense for me to throw.
And then I'll jump over here. And I will draw 1, and it's your turn.
Yeah. I'll maneuver. And I'll attack.
Not my dude.
Your dude. I'll attack your dude.
Not my dude. I'll take it. Yeah. It was a great time to slip away.
Yeah, thanks. I think I'll go there.
Mm-hmm.
Right, you're up.
Okay. I'll maneuver.
Such an interesting, different game because this time I think you're very focused on your outlaws versus last game. I could kind of care less until the very end just because of the cards I drew, which is very cool that Robin can kind of switch it up.
Yeah, and I think it's just based on the different sides of the map we're playing on.
Yep, I think that's true too, because I could just put the guys there to just leave extra coverage.
I'll maneuver again, and I'm good there. You can go.
Let's maneuver. Let's maneuver again. Alright, I'm good there.
I will maneuver. I'll have outlaw attack.
Yep.
Yep, so that's 2 damage, and I'll hop back. And your turn.
I'll maneuver.
Oof, nice one. That was Reign of Terror, so I just take 2.
Yep.
All right, and my turn?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll maneuver. Go there. I'll have outlaw attack.
Why not? Ooh, that works too.
Yep. And I'll hop back, and it's your turn.
I'll maneuver. And let's maneuver again.
Yep.
Alright, you're up.
Okay. I'll maneuver. Outlaw will attack. Yep, coverts are the other perfect ones to throw.
Yeah.
Alright, and then I will again move back to my spot, and you can go. Yep. Okay. So I will do a maneuver. Maneuver again, and boost with a regroup, and you can go.
Maneuver. Maneuver. And I'm good there.
Okay. I think you're in a great spot here, actually.
Yeah, me too.
I'll maneuver, boost with one
Yep.
of these, and then I'll have Robin attack.
We'll throw this. Probably the ambush. Yeah.
Yep. D6, big money. No whammies. Ooh, decent.
Big money.
Decent, but not what I wanted to see, actually,
Yeah, for sure.
in this scenario. Okay.
So
Then
I
hop.
move Visible Man up to 1 space. Well, I get mine
You're right.
first.
You get yours first, and
We'll
then I
go
get to move a fog up to 3, and I'll go there. All right, your turn.
I'll maneuver.
Mm-hmm.
Maneuver again. Yeah, you're up.
Okay. I will maneuver. Boost, I think, with Steal from the Rich. So I can go 5. That'll be... Yeah, that's good. Okay, and then I'll have the Outlaw attack.
Mm.
So 2.
Well done.
Yep, and then I'll move 1, 2, and you can go.
Okay, so I'll maneuver. I'll attack this outlaw. Let me think about that. Let's step lightly. This one.
Yeah, I like that. I'll leave them where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then it's my turn.
Yep.
I will maneuver. I'll have Robin attack. Oh, man.
GG.
GG. Oh, both like abrupt endings. That was your only option. Wow.
Yeah, I could have double maneuvered and overdrawn, to risk it. But if you kind of read into that, right, then I would have to discard. Like, let's see what I got. Okay, I did get that.
Oh, that's what I wanted to hit. Well, I didn't want to hit that with this, but I knew like that was your only card that was going to really save you.
Yeah, but if I did do that, what would I have ditched, right? Like, I had
Yeah, it's rough.
and this, right? So if I ditch this, I only have, let's see, 1, 2, 3 defenses left. So that's risky, and then like I felt like I had to go in there and hope that you would throw anything but the 5.
Yeah.
Could have been wrong. I'm not sure.
I mean,
I feel like you were gonna win either way, so I had to go for risky plays.
You would have overdrawn 1 card.
Yeah.
You could have ditched a rolling fog. You don't need
It's true.
both of them because you don't need also both your step lightlies. All you needed was your other Reign of Terror to pop me down to 5, and then you can kill me in a single turn by vanishing, dropping down for the surprise attack, the rolling, and the step.
Except for the fact that you still had all three of these little dudes.
Yeah, exactly. And so I was gonna not.
I could have ditched this, but yeah. So my thought
It was
process
rough.
too, and then I'll probably have to head out on that turn where you bunkered down with Robin. That was really good. I was hoping you left one spot open with Robin, because then I would rolling fog, step lightly, and I had the other vantage.
Ooh.
So I would have hit you for 3 and then run away. And so I wouldn't have put myself in any dangerous position, and then you would have been at 4. So then I would have been fine, to come down back wherever, and I think I would have been in a great position, because then this and my Reign of Terror then just kills you.
Yeah.
So,
What turn was that? When was I?
after the first vanish.
After the first vanish. Yeah. Yeah, of course, every time Invisible Man vanishes in this matchup as Robin, you have to sandwich yourself between Outlaws.
Yeah.
Like, there's no doubt about it. Otherwise, you just open yourself up to some really bad situations. The only exception was when you did it on your side and you left open this purple spot, but like you were so far ahead in health and hand or whatever, like it would have been fine if I went in there, because then I'm trapped without a fog in the middle of, 2 outlaws that could double attack me with highway robberies or whatever. So
Yeah.
you were okay doing that, but in general, Robin always wants to sandwich himself so he can't get hit easily.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I really do have to get going.
Okay, man. Well, it was good games. Unfortunately, Invisible Man didn't get the win, but it's still a pretty even matchup despite what happened. Just a couple of things really turned the tables. So
I think so, yeah. And if we highlighted just a couple different takes for both of us on the IM side, it would have been such a different game.
yeah, a lot of mind games, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. Thanks, John.
All right, man. Well, thanks for joining me again, and looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, sounds good. Same.
All right, man. Take it easy.
All right, bye.
See ya. All right, guys, and that's going to do it for Matchup of the Month December. Again, this matchup is a lot more even than it looks. Invisible Man does have to take a few gambles, and sometimes it pays off and sometimes it doesn't. But again, I think this map really helped out Robin a lot and made things pretty difficult for Invisible Man. Invisible Man is very map dependent in general, though. He's a great counter pick fighter where he wants to get starting position choice and mainly the map choice, so that he can get a wide open map. The zones work in his favor, especially against range. Somebody like Robin who can easily get to him and keep hopping back and just attacking constantly. You need to make Robin have to boost a lot and not set up just easy like bunker positions where he can just move attack every turn. You got to make him boost and work for it. So if you can do that, then eventually he'll run out of cards to boost with, like the high 3 value boosts, which he only has a limited number of, and then you can really make things rough for him and make him have a lot of interesting decisions on outlaw placement. But this map really did help Robin a lot. So I think with a more neutral map maybe, or a better map for Invisible Man, it definitely turns the table. But with a matchup being so close, oftentimes a map choice can really just dictate who has advantage. And also, as you saw, I mean, a couple of different takes and it would have been different. So even with map advantage, I mean, it's pretty close, and it just comes down, those ambushes are just really, really important. So there's that, and then there's the outlaw attacks, the combats. Obviously that's unmatched. Every combat is hit or miss on, if you call it right or wrong, and sometimes there are ways to mitigate that where you kind of play an in-between option and you're fine either way, but sometimes you got to take the gambles and hope that it goes in your favor. And in this case, both Chad and I took a couple of gambles with Invisible Man that did not go in our favor, and we got mega punished for them. So it just is how it, that's how it goes sometimes. But super fun matchup overall anyways, and I would highly recommend anybody try this one out. And in my tournament match, I pulled out the win, but today, not so lucky for Invisible Man. But better luck next time.
All right, and that's going to do it for Matchup of the Month December. And unfortunately, we didn't see an Invisible Man win here, But I'm at least happy that we kept the match count even between Chad and I overall in the series. So that's always a win. And, you know, sometimes it happens that way because Invisible Man has to make a lot of tough calls and things don't always go his way. But it is cool to see Robin Hood get some wins as well because it doesn't always happen, as we know. He's been having a rough time in the meta lately. So that's always fun. And I just had a blast playing as always, so I hope you all enjoyed watching. And if you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And consider supporting me on Patreon as well. You can become a silver tier patron and cast your vote for Matchup of the Month, and hopefully see your matchup featured in an upcoming video. So I appreciate all the support as always. And this might be the last video I make for Unmatched before the end of the year. With the holidays coming up and New Year's, I'm going to be very busy, but we'll see what happens. But if it is, I want to just wish you all a happy holidays and happy New Year. And, you know, hopefully you enjoy your time with family and friends, and hopefully you get some extra free time to get some gaming in, because that's always a blast. So until next time, everybody, thank you all for watching. I'm ZeroSkater12, and I'll see you next time.